Now today marks the 10th anniversary of the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370, one of the greatest aviation mysteries. The Boeing 777 airliner carrying 239 people vanished on a routine flight to Beijing.
March 8, 2014, is a date marked in our memory and history, highlighting the devastating events surrounding Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370. Despite extensive search efforts and numerous theories, the sudden disappearance of the plane continues to puzzle searchers.
Flight MH370 ended in a sudden Indian Ocean.
What mysteries remain concealed within the silence of MH370's sudden disappearance? Fasten your seatbelts and join us as we seek to uncover the hidden truths behind this baffling disappearance. Number 1. The gripping tale of MH370. In March 2014, Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 vanished mysteriously, leaving everyone puzzled. Despite many searches and lots of ideas, what happened to it remained a mystery. But recent news might help solve this big puzzle. That day, the usual flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing turned strange. The Boeing 777, usually a safe plane, disappeared with Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah in charge, a very experienced pilot. First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid, who was still learning, was with him on his last training flight, but they got caught up in the mystery. As the plane flew higher into the dark sky, the usual talk between air traffic control and the cockpit stopped, and MH370 went silent. Families said goodbye to their loved ones, not knowing it would be the last time. In the cockpit, Captain Zaharie and First Officer Fariq flew the plane along its planned path through the night. The passengers, from many different places, settled into their seats, some sleeping, others watching movies or chatting. But something nobody knew was about to happen, and MH370 was about to disappear into the unknown. At 1:19 a.m., Captain Zaharie's voice came over the radio for the last time, saying, "Good night, Malaysian 370. Just 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the device that talks to ground radar stopped working, and the plane's mysterious disappearance began. As time passed, air traffic controllers got more worried as they tried to talk to MH370. With no signals and no radio, authorities tried hard to find the plane. Meanwhile, families of the passengers and crew waited nervously for news. When morning came, the world found out that MH370 had vanished completely, starting a huge search to find it. During all the chaos and questions, ideas and guesses were everywhere, thanks to news stories and people's curiosity. Some thought maybe the plane broke, while others wondered if someone took it on purpose. As days and weeks went by, hope of finding MH370 got smaller, but people kept trying hard to find out what happened. Families, investigators, and airplane experts all worked together, looking over big areas of the ocean and studying data from satellites, trying to solve the mystery. With 227 passengers from 14 countries on board, the vanishing of MH370 echoed worldwide, especially among the Chinese majority.
Now, it has been 8 years since the Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 disappeared. The flight had 239 passengers on board.
As the plane flew over the South China Sea, it suddenly went off its planned path, confusing radar trackers and causing a big media fuss. People came up with many ideas, from plane problems to bad intentions, which made everyone curious and doubtful. Even though they searched a lot, including big areas of the ocean, MH370 stayed hidden, leaving families and investigators searching for answers. The people on MH370 came from all different places, including families going on vacation, workers traveling for business, and people looking for new chances in life. There were stories of hope, dreams, and plans that were stopped suddenly by the plane's vanishing. Families waited nervously for any news about their loved ones, hoping for a miracle. As time passed and the search got bigger, everyone waited anxiously, hoping they'd finally find out what happened. After MH370 disappeared, people started wondering if airplanes were really safe and if the communication systems were good enough. They worried about how well they could find and help planes in trouble, asking for better teamwork between countries. Meanwhile, people came up with all sorts of ideas, thinking maybe someone was hiding the truth or doing something bad on purpose. Even though it was hard to search such a big area and explore underwater, the teams looking for MH370 didn't give up. They used fancy technology like special sonar and pictures from satellites to look for any pieces of the plane underwater. But even after a long time of searching, they didn't find much, which made everyone sad. MH370 disappearing made the airplane industry think hard about how to keep people safe and how to help better in emergencies. They tried to make airplane trackers better and make it easier for pilots to talk to people on the ground. Also, they talked a lot about how to be more open and honest when they're trying to find out what happened to airplanes. After MH370 disappeared, people guessed what happened, but they didn't have proof. Search teams started looking right away, but families felt uncertain and sad. Number 2. MH370's intense search for answers. Following the disappearance of Flight MH370, people came up with ideas about what might have happened, but without proof, they were just guesses. Search teams started looking right away, but families were left feeling uncertain and sad. The sudden vanishing of the plane made everyone wonder, what really happened in those last moments before it went quiet? And why did it change its route if it did? Looking for Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 was a huge job, and it felt like a race against time. At first, they focused on the South China Sea and the Andaman Sea, where they thought the plane might be. But as time passed and they didn't find anything, they had to look in even more places. One of the hardest parts was how big the area was that they had to search. It covered over 70 million square kilometers of ocean, which made it really hard to figure out where to look first. Since they didn't have exact details about where the plane might be, it made things even tougher. But even with all the challenges, countries from all over the world worked together to try to find the plane. They sent ships, planes, and special technology to help with the search. They used fancy machines like sonar and underwater robots to look at the bottom of the ocean for any sign of the plane. Looking for MH370 wasn't just hard physically, but it was also really tough emotionally, especially for the families of the people on the plane. As time went by and they didn't find anyone alive, people started losing hope. But they still really wanted to find out what happened. The search took a big turn when they got information from a company called Inmarsat, which has satellites. They found out that the plane didn't stay on its planned path, but instead went south into a big part of the Indian Ocean that nobody had looked at yet. To help with the search, they used things like really good sonar and pictures from satellites. The sonar helped them see what was on the bottom of the ocean, hoping they'd find something from the plane. The pictures from satellites helped them look at the top of the ocean, hoping they'd see any parts of the plane floating. Even with all these fancy tools, there were still lots of problems they had to deal with. The ocean currents could move stuff around really fast, making it hard to know where the plane might be. And the deep ocean is really tough to work in because it's super deep and the water is really rough. Everyone wanted to find the plane to help the families feel better, but even after trying really hard, they didn't find much. The search for MH370 showed just how hard it can be to look for something in a big, tough place like the ocean. It also showed how important it is for people from different places to work together, to keep airplanes safe and find them when something goes wrong. As time went on and they still didn't find the plane, people started to lose hope. But the teams looking never gave up and kept trying new things to see if they could find any clues. Ian Wilson had a theory about MH370 crashing in a jungle. Is it true? Number 3. MH370's controversial crash location. British technology enthusiast Ian Wilson caught people's attention when he shared his idea about what might have happened to Flight MH370. He suggested that the plane could have crashed in a jungle in Cambodia based on what he saw in satellite images. This idea got a lot of people talking and debating, adding another layer of mystery to the already puzzling situation. Wilson's theory was interesting because he used images from Google Maps that seemed to show something that looked like a big plane in the thick jungle of Cambodia. He believed he found a gap in the trees that looked about 69 meters long, just a bit longer than a Boeing 777. Thinking that Flight MH370 might have gone down in a faraway jungle made the mystery even more complicated. While Wilson's theory gave a possible explanation, it also raised many questions and made things even more confusing. Without solid proof to back up Wilson's theory, it was just an idea that people questioned. Aviation experts and investigators looked into it, but couldn't find enough evidence to support it. Still, the idea of another possible crash site made people think and put more effort into finding out what really happened to MH370. Even though some people doubted Wilson's theory, it showed how much people were interested in the mystery of MH370. His idea got a lot of attention and reminded everyone of how curious and fascinated they were about what happened to the plane. While there are many theories out there, recent advances in science give hope that the truth might finally come out. Using advanced technology and new ways of looking, scientists think they might have found where the plane went missing, giving hope in this puzzling case. When they looked at debris found in the Indian Ocean, they saw signs that the plane might have crashed really fast, which could mean it wasn't an accident. This was different from what people thought before, and made some wonder if the pilots might have done something on purpose, like hijacking the plane. The recent progress in finding MH370 owes a lot to using really smart ways of looking at satellite data and exploring underwater.
Since Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was lost somewhere in the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean.
These fancy methods, along with super modern technology, helped narrow down where to search and made looking for the plane more efficient. They used detailed satellite pictures to see the ocean better, which helped them spot places where the plane might be. Additionally, underwater robots called autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, became essential tools in the search for the wreckage. These unmanned vehicles had fancy sonar technology that helped them navigate the deep ocean very accurately. They scanned big parts of the ocean floor carefully, using sonar and cameras to look for anything unusual that could be part of the missing plane. Using AUVs changed how they looked for the wreckage because they could explore places deep underwater that were hard to reach before. These high-tech vehicles worked on their own, going deep into the ocean and working for a long time without needing help. Having them around was a big step forward in exploring underwater areas, letting scientists cover a lot more ground in much less time. Also, they used really good satellite pictures along with the AUV data to study the search area well. By matching the satellite images with what the AUVs found underwater, they could figure out where to look more closely. This teamwork between satellite pictures and underwater robots showed how working together in different ways can solve tough problems. The search operation's success depended on using the latest technology and carefully looking at the data they collected. Each part of the search, from taking satellite pictures to mapping underwater, was super important in putting together the pieces of the MH370 puzzle. Thanks to scientists, engineers, and researchers working together, the search got much better, showing how they can do even more in the future when they explore underwater and recover things. They double-checked all the data and got experts to look at it to be sure they found the right spot where MH370 might have crashed. Finding this spot is a big step toward solving the mystery and also shows how they're getting better at searching for planes in the sky and underwater. After MH370, the aviation industry changed a lot to make flying safer. They improved flight tracking systems and made the batteries in flight recorders last longer. These changes were meant to prevent similar accidents from happening again and ensure that important information could be obtained if there was an accident. After MH370, flying got safer. They improved tracking and made rules stricter. What else changed? Number 4, a new era in air travel safety. Moreover, the aviation industry made big changes to have better communication systems, so planes can always stay in touch. They worked on making systems that automatically send distress signals during emergencies. These signals give important details like where the plane is, how fast it's going, and its flying path. After MH370 disappeared, the aviation industry had to face some hard truths about being ready for big problems like this. To prevent this from happening again, they made some important legal and rule changes, especially about tracking flights and making sure the cockpit was secure. After MH370, it became crucial to ensure that flights could be tracked in real time. Before this, planes didn't have to be tracked all the time, especially over big areas like oceans. But when MH370 disappeared, they saw that just checking in now and then or using radar wasn't enough, especially in faraway places. Because of what happened with MH370, the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, stepped in to make new rules about tracking flights in real time. These new rules said that planes have to send out their location at least every 15 minutes, even when everything's fine. And if something's wrong, they have to send out their location even more often. Making real-time flight tracking mandatory was a direct response to what happened with MH370.
Of people who disappeared with flight MH370 have held a memorial event in Malaysia ahead of the tragedy's 10th anniversary.
It made people around the world see how tracking planes wasn't good enough, especially over big areas where it's hard to reach. It showed that they really needed a better way to keep track of planes to make sure they're safe. The ICAO making these new rules was a big deal in making flying safer. It showed they were being proactive about fixing problems in how planes are tracked and how they respond during emergencies. Making sure planes send out their location in real time helps everyone know where they are and can help if something goes wrong. Following these new rules meant everyone had to work together. Airlines had to upgrade their planes with new tracking systems that could send out location data in real time. And companies that make technology had to come up with new and better tracking solutions to follow the new rules. Switching to real-time flight tracking wasn't easy. Airlines had to make sure the new tracking systems worked with what they already had and followed the rules. And pilots and crew had to learn how to use and understand the data from these new systems. Making real-time tracking mandatory changed how flights are watched and managed. It gave air traffic controllers and authorities better and faster information about where planes are, making flying safer and smoother. And it showed passengers that the aviation industry is serious about keeping them safe. They also looked at making the cockpit more secure, with stricter rules to stop anyone from getting in who shouldn't be there. They talked about having 2 people in the cockpit at all times and keeping a closer eye on the crew to make sure everything's okay in the cockpit. The changes made to airplane designs and emergency plans were all about making flying safer after what happened with MH370. Companies that make airplanes and the people who make the rules spend a lot of time looking at what could be better in case something goes wrong. They focused on making planes stronger so they can handle really tough situations like crashes. They looked at the materials used to build planes and made important parts like wings and the body stronger. They also used new materials and ways of building to make sure planes can handle emergencies better. They also worked on making the devices that send out signals during emergencies, called Emergency Locator Transmitters, ELTs, better. These devices help find planes in emergencies by sending out signals with their exact location. The new ELTs they put on planes can send out signals for longer from farther away and can work better even in tough conditions. They wanted to make sure that when something bad happens, everyone knows what to do and can work together to help. They set up ways for different countries and groups to talk to each other quickly and share information. They also made plans for how to send out help, like planes and boats, as fast as possible. They also made sure that teams looking for planes underwater had the right tools and knew how to use them. They used things like remote-controlled vehicles and special equipment to look for plane parts deep under the sea. And they made agreements with other countries to help each other out during emergencies. They talked about what to do and practiced working together to make sure they can help as best as they can. After MH370, Malaysia Airlines and Boeing had to deal with a lot of legal questions about who was responsible and how families would get help. Families of the people on the plane had to fight to get answers and help. But now that scientists know more about what happened, families can start to get some peace.
Sliver of hope vanished in an instant. Malaysia's Prime Minister announced today that Flight 370 went down in the Indian Ocean.
Even though it was a sad event, it helped make flying safer and showed how important it is for countries to work together to keep planes and passengers safe. After MH370 vanished, families leaned on each other for support. Number 5. The MH370 last piece of evidence. In the maze of complicated details and tangled theories about what happened to Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370, it's crucial to remember the human side. There were 239 people on that flight, each with their own story. Their lives all came together on that plane, now lost in the mystery of MH370. Among the crew were Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah and First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid, with dreams and careers suddenly cut short by fate's mysteries. And there were the cabin crew, dedicated to keeping everyone safe and comfortable. This mix of people showed how the tragedy affected the whole world, bringing families and friends from everywhere together in search of answers in their shared sorrow. For the families left behind, the impact of MH370's disappearance was huge. The sudden loss of their loved ones left them in deep sadness, struggling with emotions and no closure. Days turned into months, then years, as they held on to hope, even when it seemed almost gone. They all wanted just a bit of clarity, a hint of what happened to their loved ones as they navigated through their grief. In the storm of pain and doubt, support groups became havens for families to find comfort and strength in each other. These groups, made of people from all walks of life, came together in grief, showing how strong people can be when they're hurting together. They all wanted answers and pushed for honesty from those in charge, refusing to give up on finding the truth behind MH370. As time passed, these support groups became voices for those who couldn't speak, demanding justice and answers for the families affected by MH370. Their determination showed the power of people coming together in tough times, turning their sadness into a light in the darkness. In the midst of sorrow and questions, these support groups were like rocks, standing strong together and giving each other support. As they kept searching for answers, these families found comfort in knowing they weren't alone, with support echoing around the world. After Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 disappeared, people around the world held many memorial services and tributes to remember the lives lost. These gatherings helped families and communities find comfort and reflect on their loss. But even with these tributes, many questions about MH370 remain unanswered, causing uncertainty. One of the big questions is about why the plane disappeared. New discoveries might tell us where the wreckage is, but we still don't know exactly what happened. Was it just a mechanical problem, or was something more sinister going on? Finding answers isn't just about finding the plane. It's also about understanding why it went off its planned route. This mystery challenges how we think about airplane safety and security. The sudden change in direction is puzzling, and experts are still trying to figure out what caused it. As families of the people on MH370 keep searching for answers, they're dealing with a lot of pain and uncertainty. Every day brings more questions and longing for closure, but they're not giving up on finding the truth. Even though time has passed, MH370's story is a reminder of how fragile life can be. It's also pushing us to make air travel safer in the future. The recent discovery of MH370's location gives hope to families and renews interest in finding out what really happened. This breakthrough is the result of years of hard work and new technology. Scientists and families are determined to keep searching for answers, even if it means going into uncharted territory. The discovery of barnacle shells on a piece of the plane is a symbol of this determination. The new discovery brings new hope for MH370 answers. Will it bring closure for families? Number 6. The strange connections to sea creatures. Barnacles, those little creatures that catch rides on ships, are now getting attention for carrying important environmental information. Scientists use sclerochronology, like reading tree rings, to understand the chemicals in barnacle shells. This helps reveal the temperatures and conditions they faced. This method lets scientists follow where barnacles have been and therefore where the debris they're stuck to might be across the world's oceans. This study, published in the American Geophysical Union journal AGU Advances, introduces precise tools to understand barnacle shell chemistry. These tools can find the exact ocean temperatures barnacles have faced, offering a look back that could help find the crash site. This method is much more accurate than older ones, which had bigger errors. David Griffin, a respected oceanographer from Australia, praised this research as a big step in solving the mysteries of MH370. His support shows how important these new methods are for finding the missing plane. Scientists hope that using these new techniques will help understand more about what happened to the plane and where it might be. Griffin's praise also shows how this research could bring countries together to search for MH370. He's an expert, and his support means a lot to other scientists and the families of those on the flight. It's a reminder that we should keep using the best technology and methods to find answers. This study is not just about science, it's also about giving hope to the families who are still waiting for answers about their loved ones. Finding clues in barnacles could be a big step toward learning what really happened to the plane. Griffin's recognition also shows that this research has been carefully checked by other experts. As a top oceanographer, his approval adds credibility to the study's findings and methods. This is important for getting support and funding for more research to find MH370. Griffin's praise also highlights the hard work and dedication of the scientists who are trying to find MH370. They faced a lot of challenges, but they keep going because they want to solve this mystery. Griffin's support encourages them to keep pushing forward. This study is just the start, though. There are still challenges like getting access to the barnacles on the debris and finding experts who can study them. But the hope is that this research will help bring closure to the families of those on MH370. The search for MH370 is often compared to other famous plane disappearances like those in the Bermuda Triangle. This area has a reputation for strange plane and ship vanishings, which has led to lots of theories but few answers. In 1945, 5 Navy planes vanished while training in the Bermuda Triangle. A few years later, 2 British passenger planes disappeared there too, and no one knows why. These incidents have added to the mystery and made the Bermuda Triangle famous for disappearances. In 1963, 2 U.S. Air Force planes disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle during a refueling mission. Despite searches, nothing was found, leading to many guesses about what happened. The area's mysteries continued in 2005 and 2007, when 2 small planes vanished without a trace, leaving no clues behind. These Bermuda Triangle stories show how important it is for countries to work together and use the best technology when planes go missing. Even though the Bermuda Triangle is full of legends, the search for answers there helps make air travel safer for everyone. There are other famous disappearances too, like Amelia Earhart's in 1937. She was trying to fly around the world, but vanished over the Pacific Ocean. Despite searches, no one has found her or her plane, leading to many guesses about what happened. In 2009, Air France Flight 447 crashed in the Atlantic Ocean because of technical problems and pilot mistakes. This crash showed the importance of good pilot training and plane maintenance. In 2014, AirAsia Flight 8501 crashed because of bad weather and equipment problems. This tragedy raised questions about flying in bad weather and how pilots are trained for it. Griffin's recognition also shows the importance of not giving up when things get tough. Even though there have been problems and difficulties, scientists keep going to find answers. Griffin's support proves their determination to keep searching for MH370 with even more energy. But using this research isn't easy. It's hard to get access to the barnacles stuck on the flaperon, and understanding barnacle sclerochronology needs experts. Despite these challenges, the research team has made progress by using younger barnacles found on the debris to figure out the last part of where they drifted. This research is about more than just finding MH370. Barnacles, once seen as just annoying, are now helping with forensic science, saving the environment, and even biotechnology. Their special features have shown what the environment has been like worldwide and helped with many scientific questions, like how long a body has been in the sea or where marine animals move. As this research goes on, it carries the big responsibility of giving closure to the families and friends of those on MH370. The vanishing of MH370 is often compared to other famous airplane disappearances, especially those in the mysterious Bermuda Triangle, an area known for unexplained plane disappearances. One famous incident is Flight 19, where 5 Navy planes disappeared over the triangle's dark waters in 1945 under strange circumstances. Another mysterious case in the Bermuda Triangle is the disappearance of Star Tiger and Star Ariel, 2 passenger planes from British South American Airways. They vanished without a trace, leaving everyone puzzled. Even though searches happened for weeks, no signs of the planes were found. In 1948, Star Tiger vanished while flying from Santa Maria Airport to Bermuda. It had 31 passengers and 6 crew members. A year later, Star Ariel disappeared while flying from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica, with 20 passengers and 7 crew members. Despite searches from many countries, nothing was ever found. The disappearance of Star Tiger and Star Ariel has confused investigators and airplane experts, leading to many theories. Some people think bad weather caused the planes to crash, while others think something more mysterious happened, like spying during the Cold War. The Bermuda Triangle is famous for being a place where planes and ships vanish for no reason. The disappearances of Star Tiger and Star Ariel make this area even more mysterious. Another puzzling case is from 1963 when 2 U.S. Air Force planes vanished during a normal mission over the Atlantic Ocean. Even though people looked hard for the planes, they never found any wreckage, leading to ideas about what could have happened, like hitting other planes or seeing weird weather. In 2005, a Piper PA-23 plane disappeared between the Bahamas and Florida without any clues. Even though the plane had good technology, they never found it or the 3 people on board. 2 years later, another Piper plane vanished near the Berry Islands, adding to the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. Just like with MH370, these Bermuda Triangle stories show how important it is for countries to work together and use good technology to solve airplane mysteries. Even though the Bermuda Triangle is full of legends, trying to find answers there helps make flying safer for everyone. Another famous disappearance is Amelia Earhart's in 1937 when she disappeared over the Pacific Ocean trying to fly around the world. Even though many looked for her and her plane, they never found anything, leading to many guesses about what happened. In 2009, Air France Flight 447 crashed into the Atlantic Ocean during a flight from Rio de Janeiro to Paris because of technical problems and pilot mistakes. This crash showed why pilot training and plane maintenance are so important for safe flights. In 2014, AirAsia Flight 8501 crashed into the Java Sea during a flight from Surabaya to Singapore because of bad weather and equipment problems. This tragedy raised questions about how pilots are trained to fly in bad weather. Is the truth about MH370's disappearance being hidden from us? What are they not telling us? Or is it merely another accident brushed under the rug? Let us know your thoughts, and like and subscribe for more.